call this meeting to order on February 9th, 2021. If you would all join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence for 10 seconds. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would remain standing for 10 seconds, please. You may be seated. Jan, would you please call the roll? I'd like to let everyone in the audience know that Commissioner Ed Hoffnagel will be on Zoom tonight, so he is also participating in the meeting.
Commissioner Hoofnagel,
I'm present via Zoom.
Commissioner McCall,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hanna,
Here.
Commissioner Flagg,
Here.
Mayor Kennedy,
Here.
City Manager Mims.
Always here.
That's good. With that, City Manager President, would you join me in the front? And Commissioner Diane Flagg, would you come also? So, tonight is a special night beginning because our good friend Diane Flagg, who has been a commissioner for 2 years with us, she's also a very good friend of mine, will be leaving our commission. And we wanted to just express a little bit about what our thoughts are. And I know some of you who know her, Diane has been not only incredibly bright on this commission, thoughtful, has read all of her material, and has been such an advocate for the residents that I am very proud of what she's done in her 2 years, and I'm going to miss you, and we wanted to give you this, and I will read it to you because it's exactly what the commission and the staff feels, and it says, in recognition of the selfless and dedicated service to the community as a city commissioner in Indian Rocks Beach. And that is exactly what I would say about Diane. Not only has she been a great commissioner, but she has been an active member of Action 2000. Anytime that we have ever needed help on the food pantry, she has always been there to help donate. Any of the activities for the community, buys turkeys with the homeowners. I'm sure that the rest of the commission will have things to say about her, and then Blake has also.
Thanks, Cookie. Just want to thank Diane for your 2 years of service. I remember when you first started talking about running, when you came to City Hall and asked Dan Carpenter a lot of questions, and we tried to answer. I do have to admit, we didn't tell you the complete truth. You asked me at one point how many meetings a month. I said, this is one meeting a month. We've had a lot more than that. But we just, on behalf of the department heads and the staff, we just really appreciate everything done. This is your commissioner picture, and there's a little something in there for you. But thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I am very honored to have been here for 2 years, and I welcome our new commissioner coming in, and I hope that I've served you well. I've certainly tried very hard to do that, so thank you all.
Well, I see that our sheriffs are here tonight, and normally that you submit your report, but if you have anything that you would like to come up and mention tonight?
I'm sorry, I had a conversation with them before the meeting. We did not receive last month's report,
Okay.
so we'll just make that part of the next meeting as we all will accept. So there'll be no report tonight from the sheriff.
Okay. I'd still like to, is there any, he says something, I think he'd like to come up and say, so come on up for just a minute. If there's anything he wants to mention to the commission tonight. I'd like to tell everybody that the sheriffs come 15 minutes before the meeting, so if anyone would like to speak to them privately, you are more than welcome to do that before the meeting.
Mayor, I just took a quick look at some of the activity that occurred during the month of January without the official UCR stats or anything like that. And the biggest thing that I just want to comment on is it seems like at 710 First Street, which my understanding is it's an Airbnb, we're starting to get a lot of noise complaints from there. So the deputies on my shift have been going out there and documenting every time they have contact with the transients, residents that are coming in from out of state, wherever they're from. So we're addressing that. At this point also, the deputies on my shift have attempted to reach out to the owner of the property just to see if we can try to get some sort of resolve to this issue.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Sheriff tonight? We'll do double reports next month.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have any questions? Ed, on Zoom, do you have any questions? Ed, unmute.
I'm unmuted. I do not have any questions. Thank you, Cookie.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for being here for us. Also, our report from Pineapple Suncoast Fire and Rescue is online so that you can address that too. With that,
I'm sorry, just give us 1 minute, we're going to change the batteries in the micro.
okay. Well, we have Valentine's Day coming up. Nice holiday. Normally, we have a nice event, but we won't be having that this year. Hopefully, by the summer, we'll start doing some events again. So we're hoping. Once the batteries are fixed, we go to public comment. And at public comment, any member of the audience may come forward and give his or her name and address and state any comment or concern that he or she may have regarding any matter over which the City Commission has control, excluding agenda items. All statements made to the City Commission shall be made to the City Commission as a whole, not directed at an individual City Commission member, and no personal or slanderous remarks shall be permitted. No speaker shall be interrupted, and no debate shall take place between the speaker and the City Commission. And we allow for 3 minutes at a time. So anyone who would like to come forward, Maria, if you'd like to come forward at this time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Maria Heshmati, Director La Hacienda. First, I would like to thank the Commission for passing the ordinance on the IRB resident decals and the temporary passes. I would also like to thank our City Manager Greg Mims and Mike Kelly, who came to the pickleball courts a few days ago as an issue has happened in the pickleball courts, and they solved it in a very nice and professional way. I would also like to ask the Commissioner if there would be any way for our Commissioners to reach out to Commissioners of Largo and Seminole regarding the pickleball courts and encourage them if they could build some more pickleball courts in those large cities. This has been an issue also on the Facebook and social media that has come up from other residents, not IRB residents, that everybody is frustrated and everybody is trying to find a way to solve these issues. We love to welcome and share our courts with everyone. It just simply the IRB courts are not large enough, or we don't have too many courts to accommodate this large group of players. With that said, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, come forward.
Dr. Magdi Abdul Hamid, 101 Rush. Good evening, everyone, and I am here to second what Maria said about IRB pickleball courts. and this is not the first time for me to come in front of you, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you in a few minutes, once more, about this problem. And we have been really suffering from the crowded courts in every single morning. And those courts stay busy for most of the day, And as a result, we as IRB residents hardly find time to play. We are there for 2-3 hours to play maybe 15-20 minutes. We are there to exercise and have fun, not to socialize, at least for me. And the incidents that Maria mentioned that happened just yesterday, that also triggered me to come here. It's very unfortunate to have one of our dear friends get cussed at by a person who is not even a resident of the city, because we were trying to get in the courts ahead of him. Very childish. And I appreciate that Mr. Mims came out and took care of that incident. However, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen again, because of the problem we have. All of us know that our courts are free. Our courts are open for everybody. And we welcome people to come over to play with us. But we want them to be polite. So I'm here today to share some solutions with you. I'm not going to just say there's a problem and leave it for you to solve it. No, I'm going to share some solutions. And all I'm asking you, please take it serious this time. I had that same thing said 2 months ago. And I was told that could be a workshop coming up to discuss this issue. And so far I haven't seen anything. I think it's time now to have that workshop. It's time for you to listen to us as residents. And we're going to help you with the solution. We're not going to leave it all for you to solve. Thanks for building this wonderful court. It's for us to take care of it. And for us to help you find the solution. And I'm going to give you 3 solutions, ranging from the simplest one to the little bit more difficult one. The simplest one is to turn this course to be for IRB residents only. Just put a sign saying IRB residents only and we are done. And we can talk to you about how to control this. If this is not possible, because those are public courts and funds, etc., then can we dedicate some certain time of the day, 2-3 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours in the afternoon, to be IRB residents only? The courts are available 14 hours, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. All we are asking is we need to block these courts 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon for IRB residents only, or maybe IRB residents may allow to get a guest with them to play. These are 2 very simple solutions, will cost nothing, except make a decision. The 3rd solution I have for you is, will cost a little bit of money, but not much either, because we have the infrastructure. Convert one of these 2 tennis courts into 3 pickleball courts. If you go around the park at any time in the morning or during the day, for every tennis player, you're going to find 10 to 12 pickleball players sitting waiting for their turn. So,
Dr. Maggie, you have to wrap it up.
Sure, thank you. So what I'm asking is to convert one of those tennis courts to 3 pickleball courts. We're going to have 5 total courts. We can dedicate 2 of them to IRB residents and have the other 3 open for public for fees. As we pay with both other cities, we pay to play. People should come here and pay to play as well. I understand that you guys have been trying to reach out to the other cities to get them to do their own courts, but this is not their problem. I don't think this will be the optimal solution. This is our problem, and we have to solve it ourselves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Maggie. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at this time? Yes.
I'm Mark Bodine. I manage Cameron Cove Resort. We're 2402 Gulf Boulevard. I requested some time tonight to talk in reference to the beach access parking, specifically the overnight parking. I know the city commissioners have had difficult times over the years with a lot of issues, mainly the beach access parking, overnight parking, the trash every day that's scattered all over the beach access parking and the beach. And I send my staff out there daily on 24th Avenue and on the beach to pick up the debris. The noise from the bars across the street was a big issue for the commissioners over the years, feeding on Gulf Boulevard, and the juke squad seems to be a big problem for us at this point. The residents of Cameron Cove Resort are deeded owners. They happen to be weekly deeded owners. Now, they're given a deed recorded in Pinellas County, so that makes them a property owner in Indian Rocks Beach. We've been graciously given over the years some beach overnight parking for some of our residents at the resort when they have guests or friends or relatives come to the resort, because our parking is very limited too. And we've been able to share that with them, that they can park on the beach access overnight. But they have to understand that there's a handicap spot, there's 4 residents-only spots, and any other spot, we've been able to get the little stickers that hang from the rearview mirror. I am asking that the commissioner and the city look into this overnight parking for the owners on Indian Rocks Beach. And I've heard other owners saying that, why can't we get free parking for overnight? The issue is not the overnight parking. The issue is the day parking. When everybody in Tampa Bay wants to come to Indian Rocks Beach because there's free parking here. The overnight parkers are people that live in Indian Rocks Beach or deeded property in Indian Rocks Beach, or their friends or their guests. The commission approved a charge for the overnight parking. I have no issue with the charge, but there's a 3-night maximum stay. Now, our ownership at the resort is 7 days from Saturday to Saturday. So how can I get a 7-day parking permit? And oh, by the way, our check-in day is Saturday, and City Hall is closed on Saturday and Sunday. So how can my residents get an overnight parking permit for at least 7 nights without coming to City Hall during the week when they check in on Saturday? Is there some option that they can purchase this permit online ahead of time before they get to the resort? And, on the weekend, I'm asking these questions because I know these are some hard answers that the commission needs to look at. I just want to reiterate real quick, we're asking for overnight parking for the owners at Indian Rocks Beach and Cameron Cove, if possible. If not, I would request that they get a 7-night parking permit for their stay and be able to purchase this previous to them coming to the resort via the internet from City Hall. Because they're checking in on Saturday, how are they going to get here, Saturday or Sunday to purchase their permit, but City Hall is open only Monday through Friday. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you please look at this, because I know we have other residents in the same situation that are owners at Indian Rocks Beach looking for some kind of help for the overnight beach parking. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Trent Wolfersberger. I'm a resident of Lithia, Florida. I'm a property owner at 2 15th Avenue in Indian Rocks Beach. I rise to express concern over ordinance 2020-08. My wife and I purchased this condo 3 months ago, and this ordinance significantly disadvantages us and other non-residential property owners. My issues, section 62-35B2. Finding of fact says, all costs for maintenance and patrolling the beach access are borne by citizens through collection of taxes. I think that should be amended or corrected to note that the costs are borne by property owners through the collection of taxes. With the 2 sections added, there's a duplicate sections 62-35D and E in the draft. But section E2 or section G addresses the use of the 15th Avenue boat ramp by city residents or property owners. However, property owners like me are unable to get the necessary decal unless my vehicle registration, my license, and my property address coincide. This significantly decreases my property value and my intended use of my vacation property in Indian Rocks Beach. And there's an entire class of similarly situated non-residential property owners. I would ask the commission to consider adjustment to the ordinance to allow one residential decal per taxable parcel with additional allowances for the residential property owners. I think in a city like Indian Rocks Beach that has a significant portion of part-year residents and vacation homeowners, the city should really focus on not treating second homeowners as second-class citizens. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time? Hi, John.
Hello. It's back.
Yes.
Like Freddy Krueger,
It's all
the
good.
short-term rental, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
The short-term rental issue is back and it's on a fast track. Representative Fisher's bill, HB 219, will be heard about the House Regulatory Reform Committee tomorrow at 1 p.m. Senator Diaz, identical bill, SB 522, will be heard by Regulated Industries Committee next Tuesday. These bills will cause IRB to lose the ability to license and inspect vacation rentals. And it gets worse, the state is not required to inspect them at all. Plus, there will be no sign required on the exterior of the houses to assist police with handling noise and other violations. I want to thank you for writing a letter to Senator Diaz, and I hope you take similar action tonight to send a letter to the Ways and Means Committee, the second stop for HB 219. Now, our representative, DeSiglia, sits on Ways and Means. Have any of you talked with him? Please tell him to vote against the bill, or at least amend the bill, to require the state to inspect vacation rentals as they do for hotels, and require signs on the exterior of the houses with a license and contact number. And this year, we're in greater danger. Last year, we had funded articulate allies and the associations that were representing condos and HOAs. However, we've lost them this year because the new bill now exempts them. The bill sponsors are waging a divide and conquer strategy. I hope you will personally immediately contact the committee members for SB 522, being heard on February 16th. When this commission meets again on March 9th, it's too late. Some of us are painfully aware that STRs, short-term rentals, are a cancer. They devour peace in our residential neighborhoods and force long-term residents to leave. Tonight, I'll send to you the email I sent the reps on those committees, along with their email addresses to make it easier for you if you want to contact them. Writing a couple letters is much better than doing nothing. And I thank you for that. Beyond that, I hope you make fighting preemption bills and vacation rental bills now a top priority for IRB's commissioners. As just one example, funding lobbying efforts would be a good start, and I have others if you want to hear about those sometime. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else? Hi, John.
John House, 21 Fort Beach Trail. So last meeting, when y'all talked about the parking overnight in the beach accesses, there's several people that have probably about 100 years cumulative living spoke about not restricting our ability to have our guests park overnight. One person out of the audience spoke in favor of not letting us park overnight. I don't know, maybe they're a vampire or something, but I can tell you something. At 21st and 22nd, overnight, the average person over the past 5 years, there's been maybe one car parked between the two of them, maybe a week. It's not a problem, people parking overnight. And to deny those people that pay taxes, I know you think that doesn't matter, but people that pay taxes and live there and let those parking places sit vacant because of some misguided direction, it's insipid. I just don't understand how that happens. I realize that I'm not a member of the cult, and that whatever I say doesn't matter to anybody that's a member of the cult. But it is important to us that do own property and do have overnight guests every now and then. It's not a big deal. And to deny us the ability to park in a parking space that's going to sit there empty overnight
just doesn't make any sense at all. I can't understand it. If somebody can tell me why that parking, that asphalt cannot be used and gives me a respectable answer, I'll listen to it. I'm not adverse to learning something, but how in the world is that asphalt not being used a problem? I want to know that. Please tell me. Everybody's got my email address, right? I'm waiting for the answer. Yeah, okay. Where's my cricket sound? Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at this time? Please come forward.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rob Garcia. I own the property at 321st Street. Good morning, members and mayor.
Hi.
My issue is with, first of all, the cottages are right there next to CVS, the yellow and teal cottages. They're approximately 10 yards away from the Indian Rocks Beach CrossFit. And the problem that I've had is the loud noises coming from the gym early in the mornings and then periodically throughout the day. While it has gotten better, I just went there this evening before the meeting started, and the noise still exists. I've tried to follow all the proper protocol to get this under control. I worked with Mel originally. After the 5 months of remodeling, my wife and I stayed in the cottages of a morning. And at 5:30 in the morning, you can hear these heavy weights dropping on the floor. It literally vibrates the cottages. So after getting nowhere with Mel, the owner of IRD CrossFit, went through, started working with Mike on it, went to the sheriff's department. The sheriff said, the deputies said, hey, this is controlled by IRD. That's an issue for them to resolve. So went back to Mike to get some resolution on this, and the way Mike handled it was he actually went to her and said, hey, let's take a look at this. So instead of going and listening to the sound first, letting her know of the situation that's going on. And folks, the sound is intolerable. And if you can imagine coming down here, spending your vacation, paying good money to stay in my cottages, and listening to that morning, noon, and night, it's unacceptable. So with that said and done, this is an issue that I've been working with Mike on. While I mentioned earlier, while I think there has been some improvement, recognition where due, it's still nowhere where it needs to be. My guests don't need to hear the loud noises and the vibrations coming from IRD CrossFit. One other note that the deputy said, I took him into the property. Again, I mentioned to you it's approximately 10 yards from the back door. He said, your windows are rattling, and they're hurricane-proof windows. So you can imagine the vibration sounds coming from these heavy weights. So again, I tried to follow the protocol, started with the owner, worked my way down, I've gotten nowhere. So now I come to the board and ask for y'all's help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward at this time? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public comment. I'm looking for a report from the city attorney, Randy Mora.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Briefly, as was noted during public comment, the legislative session has begun. Bills are being filed, among which include short-term rental bills. This body last month asked the manager and me to coordinate correspondence from the city. You have, I believe, a draft of that correspondence before you to go, and it's presently addressed to the governor with copies directed to...
Excuse me, I did not give them a copy.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I have a copy in front of me of the draft that I have. The draft is directed presently towards the governor, Pinellas County Legislative Delegation, Florida House of Representatives Regulatory Reform Subcommittee, Pinellas County Mayor's City Commission, Senator Manny Diaz, and Representative Jason Fisher, author and co-sponsor of House Bill 2219. The correspondence generally communicates a desire for the legislature to, at the very least, to restore home rule powers, or at the very least preserve them. The current, both bills presently propose regulation, which we discussed last year, whereby you can regulate aspects of short-term rentals that do not have to do with duration or frequency. You cannot prohibit them, but any regulations imposed on short-term rentals would have to be imposed on all residential properties. As this issue's been presented over the past several years, both in the legislature and in these chambers, the common feedback from the public and otherwise, it's this simple. It's a business operating in a district, in a residential district. Let's address it that way. That's not the paradigm that the legislature has chosen to adopt. This would codify that. So I can recognize that the use of a transient home next door to your spouse and 2 children may not be the same, but I can't make that distinction. We can't make that distinction unilaterally, or at least to the extent we can. That is, there is a proposal to regulate against that. Otherwise, we will, of course, my office will, of course, keep you updated as we have in years past during the legislative session on substantive developments on this and other issues that may affect the city's governance. Outside of that, I've been working closely with the manager as we regularly do month to month on a number of issues. And I'm open to any questions, but have nothing else to add in my report at this time.
Do any of the commissioners, including Ed Hoffnagel, does anyone have any comments at this time for the city attorney? Hearing none, I'm going to move on to Greg Mintz, our city manager.
I'm going to take my mask off, so
That's perfectly fine.
I'll have my glasses up. As part of your agenda packet, you have the quarterly financials. Do any of the commission members have any questions about that document?
And I don't know if you heard that on Zoom, Greg is talking about the financials. Do you have any questions concerning?
No, I don't have any questions, but thank you. I have the document in front of me.
Okay, good deal. Anyone else have any questions for Greg on the financials? Okay, continue, Greg.
And I missed the last meeting, so I don't quite the list. I'll try to make it through as quickly as I can. Just want to tell the commission and the public that staff on February 1st began the process of implementing the Indian parking ordinance, which includes the increase in the parking fines from $40 to $75. And we'll continue to implement that ordinance unless it's amended at whatever date. But I felt it was important to maybe clarify a couple of things, because staff members have to deal with residents, property owners that are coming in and asking questions about this. One is about decals. IRB resident decals only do one thing, and that provides you with the chance, and I would say the chance, not the opportunity, the chance of parking in 73 parking spaces. 61 of those are at beach accesses, and the remainder are at different parks where we set aside some parking spaces. For some reason, and maybe it's because of the previous ordinance that we had where we discussed having, you were going to be required to have a decal to park on the street. That did not pass, so I don't know if there's confusion about that. But virtually, that's the only thing that decal does for you is the ability to, or the opportunity to park at 73. And as the gentleman mentioned earlier, the decal is tied to the one boat ramp that we have there. Second thing I've noticed in emails, and previous speaker was making comments about taxes, and then for some reason glanced over at me. I'm a taxpayer. I recognize the importance of taxes. The majority of the taxes that we have in our budget come from property taxes. So I don't know where that comes from. I think we've proven, and I can only speak for the almost 8 years that I've been here, that the bill rate's not going up. We don't have a utility tax. We don't have a stormwater fee. So I'm well aware of taxes and budgets. And at the same time, we've reduced staff and we've outsourced. But I just want to remind everybody involved in this meeting that the IRB tax rate is 1.8326. Out of the 24 cities in Dallas County, we're the 5th lowest. The highest mill rate in the county is St. Petersburg, which is 6.75. Another thing that I'd like to address is, I've seen this just not recently, but just throughout other emails, we work on budgets and things, but just to kind of put this on the record again, is that when the property owner that owns property in Ross Beach gets their tax bill and they see that toll at the bottom, we don't get that. we get 11% of the total. And I want to give some examples of that just real quickly. And I looked at averages and condominiums and residential properties, but I just used, and I won't name condo names because it's not necessary, but one prominent condo in town, the average tax bill is $4,047.38. Of that, the city of Indian Rock Beach gets $392.55. If you divide 365 days in that, we get $1.07 a day per condo. Another townhome condo development that I won't name, their tax bill for everything, if you look at tax bills, it's the schools, it's the jails, it's county administration, it's $4,802.11. Of that, the city of Indian Rock Beach gets $534.51, or $1.46 a day. One of the timeshare condos that we have in town, their tax bill is a 40-unit project. Their tax bill is $76,796.56. Of that number, we get $8,547.98. If you divide that by 40, it's $213.69 a unit, or 58 cents a day. Hang tags. In the last 2-year cycle, we issued over 300 hang tags. To give you an example, the 24th beach access, just for that one beach access, for that 2-year cycle, and they were unlimited, and that's one of the things y'all talked about at length when you adopted the ordinance. There were over 30 hang tags that were issued for properties that immediately abutted that access, and there's 18 parking spaces. So you can do the math of 30 plus into 18, you're in the hole there. All that being said, the taxes, everything that's paid, what's provided in return is law enforcement, code enforcement, streets, drainage, parks, maintenance. The beach, 28 beach accesses, the Nature Preserve, Cole Park, Brown Park, 10th Avenue Park, 24th Avenue Park, 27th Avenue Park, the Ivy Pocket Park, Kicking Clear Park, Ivy Museum, Chickasee Park, the Business District Boardwalk, holiday decorations, seasonal decorations, special events, and that's just to name a few. So for 1.8326 versus St. Petersburg that has a mill rate of 6.7550, I always have to sell these numbers because Dan will correct me and say, you can't say 6.7, you can say 7. Excuse the language, but that's the hell of a deal. Second topic is, throughout the pandemic, there's some folks named Cedric, Ronald, Tarlis, Donatello, Derek, and OP. And those are the people that I know, I live here too, I know those are the people that IRB residents, property owners love. Those are the solid waste employees. And I just want to recognize them tonight because during the whole pandemic, they didn't take time off, they didn't work from home. Whatever you threw in that can, I'm just as guilty of it too. We walk out at night, we just throw it in there. We don't really worry about if it's in the bag or not, we just throw it in there. I want to publicly recognize these guys for doing what they've done through this pandemic. And I will just tell you, back about 4 months ago, per the handbook that the commission adopted years ago, I gave them a real minor bonus. I gave them a couple days off piece, so I would just ask the commission and the public when you see those folks out, and I know people in Ivy love those guys, but just thank them again because they're out there picking things up that most of us would not want to pick up. I'm grateful for that. Also want to recognize the sheriff's office and the fire department. Although those two entities are not directly under my supervision, I deal with and have interactions with them every day. The sheriff's office more than the fire department, thank goodness. And I just want to publicly thank them for everything they do. They deal with a lot of things, a lot of things, and the pandemic has also been hard on people from overdoses to suicides, and I have first-hand knowledge of the some of that. And just there again, when you see those folks out, they need a big pat on the back right now too. CARES Act, the county allocated $83,890.92 to Indian Rocks Beach for COVID-related expenses. Dan Carpenter's worked real hard on this today. We've been reimbursed $32,890.92, and that's for everything you can imagine, cleaning supplies, and all kinds of sanitizers that we're required to put out, face masks. We put some plexiglass up in City Hall, put some warm variety. We had to, as you see all these cameras and things, that's, been an extra expense, and so that's where they come out. So really what I'm telling you is unless things really go south on the pandemic, we should be in really good shape the rest of the time and not really need any more funds to cover that. The baseball field across the streets will be closed during the month of March for the new LED lighting project that was in the budget. We're also, while we're at it, going to replace the 2 sets of bleachers. So for a month, that'll be down. Gulf Boulevard undergrounding, we're at the mercy now of Spectrum and Frontier to get all their hookups done. They're telling us now that this is about a week ago when they told us this, is that they were looking at about a 45-day period, and we should be able to finally get the holes down and officially be finished with the undergrounding south of the La Hacienda Street Reconstruction Project. Will be finished by April the 1st. The mayor received a letter, and y'all, each of the commissioners received a copy of it from the sheriff that summarized crime stats for the period of time between 2010 and 2019. They're down in Indian Rocks Beach, and they're down 42%. And I'm going to ask the clerk if she would be so kind to put that letter in the minutes. 3 or 4 other things, but I promise I'm done. You remember back in 2016, we leased property from the city of Largo to relocate our solid waste facility. Believe it or not, we're already up against the first 5-year term. So today, I signed a letter and forwarded a letter to the city manager of Largo to ask for a one-time 5-year extension in the contract. There's 2 5-year extensions that we can ask for, so I've asked for that. That location's worked out really well, and that'd be great to deal with. So hopefully I can report back in a month or 2 that we got that extended. Duke Energy franchise agreement that was approved back in 2011. There was an option in the agreement where we could, by letter, opt to renew it for an additional 10 years. We're already charging the max percentage rate, so there's not anything to negotiate there. Randy's been working with me on that, and soon there'll be a letter that I'll sign that'll go to Duke, where we're going to ask for the option to extend the franchise agreement with Duke. And just as a reminder, we through that franchise agreement this past year, the city received $447,000 from Duke with that franchise agreement, so we're working on that. Also in the budget, there's money allocated for the city to hire a special magistrate. Special magistrate again is like a city judge type role, person that would hear like the more complex kind of code cases. I talked to Randy about today. Randy's office is handling that, and we should have an RFP out on the street within 60 days. And the way that'll work is when the RFPs are received, it's from attorneys and law firms. Then we probably will screen those, maybe narrow those down to probably 3, and then bring that to commission, and y'all will hire whoever the magistrate is, but that's coming. 2 more things. City attorney agreement. We still have a couple years left on the agreement with Randy's firm, but I think I mentioned this to most of y'all individually, is that I've asked Randy, I've begun a dialogue with Randy about extending his agreement, and he's looking at the terms of the existing agreement, and we're working together on that. And once I have it, then I'll meet with y'all individually to go over it. But my goal is to ask the commission at some point soon to extend the agreement that we have with Randy's firm, because, and I think most all of y'all agree, they have done a great job for us. They're extremely busy, and I don't want to lose them to some other bigger fish. So I'm going to bring, at some point soon, bring you updated agreement, so we can try to extend that out at least 2 or 3 more years. And last but not least, last week, Randy Moore and I had a orientation session with Denise Housberg. Went very well. Randy was longer-winded than I was. It took longer than I did. Just took. But me went well, and I think she'll fit right in and gets her role. And I know she's excited, and we're excited to have Denise. And that's all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for the city manager at this time? Is that a no, Joe?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That was a lot, but
Okay. With that, let's first start with Commissioner McCall. Do you have any comments that you'd like to make tonight?
The only thing, sorry, the only thing I would like to thank Diane for being on commission. It's been short-lived for me. I've only been here a year with you. Known you outside more than inside here. But wish you well, and thanks for joining us. And no HOA reports tonight.
Vice Mayor?
Diane, obviously, we go back a long way through many organizations we've been part of and working for the city. It is totally a pleasure to know you and to have worked with you and for you to contribute to this commission and to this city, all that you've done. I'm very proud of you, very proud to have you as a friend.
So sweet. Anything else?
No.
Commissioner Hofnagel, do you have any comments tonight?
Yes, I do. Diane, thank you for your service. Really enjoyed working with you. You've done a lot to help make the city a better place. I think all the residents really enjoy the amenities that we have as a city. And today, I think we heard some folks giving some suggestions about ways that we might be able to improve some of the amenities. And I look forward to working with the upcoming commission on addressing the issues on the pickleball, the boat ramp. I'm sure we didn't intend to keep the snowbirds from using the boat ramp, and some other issues around that. I also wanted to thank the commission for their support on the overnight parking at the beach accesses, to have that not be permitted, and just put on the record that there was a percentage of those parking places that were being misused full time and were occupied as sort of like private driveways, and it was impossible to enforce a part-time parking situation there because there was no ordinance in effect. And so I'm happy that we were able to accomplish that. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Commissioner Flagg?
Well, I wanted to thank the commission because it's been a pleasure working with all of you, and don't worry, you'll be seeing me on the other side, so it'll be fine. And especially, you know, I can't say enough about the city. I've learned so much over the past couple of years, and you know, so much more happens than anyone can ever imagine on a day-to-day basis. And you know, Greg and Dan and Deanne and Randy, thank you for answering the endless questions I have and always being so kind about it. And I've learned a lot, and I'm sure I will continue to do so after I'm off the commission. And Mayor, thank you for all your encouragement to have me here in the first place. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Well, I just address a couple things. The short-term rentals. I have started calls to along with the letters to our legislative delegation concerning some of our concerns with this new legislation that has been brought up, especially from Senator Diaz, who was the one that I spoke to originally, who dropped the whole matter 2 years ago. So I will be going around speaking to them. A couple comments made about the pickleball courts. I just want to say that I have been in touch with the Largo Commission, several of the commissioners, Donna Hawk, Vice Mayor Jamie Robinson and Commissioner Michael Scott. I had an in-depth conversation with the head of their recreational department concerning the pickleball courts, and Mayor Woody's a good friend of mine, and I suggested that maybe all of the pickleball people who are interested in seeing Largo do some added pickleball courts to go to a meeting, one of the Largo Commission meetings, and speak at one of their meetings. As far as, I did want to say one thing about one of the speakers and the CrossFit and the vacation rentals. I did speak to the owner of the CrossFit at great length, and we had a very nice conversation. And you know, one of the things that comes to mind in all of these kind of situations, and I live down in that area, I live there and I own a business, and every morning at 4:30 in the morning, the post office comes in all their big trucks. And when I built my building there, I had no idea that was going to happen, because 25 years ago, the post office was there, and I built my dream home and my business there, and all of a sudden my bedroom is right in that, and every morning at 4:30, there it is, and they're coming in. And when I had a vacation rental there, I always had to say, I have a 4:30 coming in, and you need to know that. But on the other side of that, I want all of our businesses to be good neighbors and try to help each other, because especially in the kind of situation that we're in right now, none of the businesses, including the vacation rentals, are not up to, you know, doing the kind of business that they would normally do, which I hope will come back by the summer. And the owner of CrossFit has definitely said that she will do everything in her power to be as good of a neighbor as she possibly can. You know, being in a commercial district, the setbacks are different, and there isn't, you know, I walked all around there, I looked at it myself, and I just, let's try to work it out amongst each other, because, you know, you both have, your buildings are beautiful, what you did to those, I love them. My new shepherd, who I was going to bring tonight, but I'm going to bring her, I'll bring her on another meeting that I just adopted, 6 years old. Her name is Luna, and I noticed that one of yours, you named one of your vacation rentals Luna. So I just, you know, I love our businesses here, and I think that we're all out there trying to do our very best to make a living, and I just think that if we are thoughtful and kind and try to work together, that we can make this work until we can open up and things are better. So I just wanted you to know that I did stop and have a conversation.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And with that, I just, again, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. I think, and I wanted to say something about the Bucks. I mean, are we not going to say something about the Bucks? I wrote an email to Greg, and I said, I would like to, and I don't know when we can do this, but I would like to give a key to the city, to the team. And so I don't know how we'll do that, but at some point we'll write a letter and see that if a couple of them can come here, and we just, I know that Indian Rocks Beach is a Buck city, and even those that might have been for Kansas City, they're still love the Bucks too. So hopefully maybe we can put something together with the Buccaneers. And with that, Diane, I'm still going to be friends with you for the rest of my life, so I'm good with that. And let's go on, and we'll go to additions and deletions. I don't think we have any tonight. And we'll move on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, there's one item on the consent agenda. It's
I
item-
just saw that, yes,
It's item
sir.
A, approval of the January 12, 2021 City Commission regular meeting minutes.
Thank you. And do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll motion to accept the consent agenda.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Is there any comments from the maker or the second? No. Okay, Deanne, will you call the roll? All in favor?
Yes.
Now we go to public hearings. We go to agenda item number 6. Randy, would you please read public hearing number A?
Happily, Madam Mayor, public hearing item A, ABT 14-2021. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding for the property at 215 Gulf Boulevard, Rick Daddy's Eatin' Fresh, considering a 2 COP alcoholic beverage use designation, beer, wine, by the drink or in sealed containers, for consumption on or off the premises where sold, to Rick Daddy's Foods LLC, doing business as Rick Daddy's Eatin' Fresh, which establishment is located at 215 Gulf Boulevard, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, and legally described as Indian Rocks Beach, Block 5, Lots 1 and 2, parcel number 12-30-14-42858-005-0010, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Randy. Dan, would you like
As this is a quasi-judicial, I have to first ask if any of the members of this body have any ex parte communications with the applicant?
No.
I have spoken to him.
No.
Okay, could you disclose the nature of that? Thank you, Commissioner Hoofnagel. Madam Mayor, can you disclose the nature of that exchange?
It had nothing to do with his license.
Okay, then that's not pertinent to this.
Okay, good.
Okay, and then has anybody done a site visit for the limited purpose of evaluating this application?
No.
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 All having responded in the negative, will anybody who intends to offer testimony on this issue, that would include staff and members of the public wishing to speak on this matter before the commission, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in. That would include the applicant, their agent. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Send it back to staff.
This is a 2 COP alcoholic beverage request from Eating Fresh, which is going to be located at 215 Gulf Boulevard. And it used to be where the White House Donuts is. They have remodeled it inside, and it is a standalone building. And they also have a patio area. They have completed the state of Florida application for the alcoholic beverage request. And everything is fine. His background with the sheriff's office did come back with a DUI. He has met and has completed all requirements of the subject to suit requirements. If it is approved, staff is recommending that the following stipulation be added: repeated or intermittent nuisance activity and/or unlawful noise levels originating from the establishment or the parking area may result in the revocation of the alcoholic beverage designation. And that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Deanne before I ask the applicant to come forward? Any questions? Mr. Brumfield, would you like to come forward?
Just please state your name and address before your comments.
Richard Brumfield, 435 Gulf Boulevard, Indian Rocks Beach.
Mr. Brumfield, tell us a little about what you're planning and your license at your...
So I currently have a cafe in Clearwater called Eatin' Fresh. It's a lunch cafe. This will be very similar, except for we'll be expanding it out to a little bit more seafood, offering beer and wine only. We will not have a bar on site, so it'll just be table service for the alcoholic beverages. We don't anticipate having any live entertainment because it is such a small venue. We want to keep it kind of quaint.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Brumfield? Okay, at this time, I'm going to, Mr. Brumfield, I'm going to have you sit right over here, and we're going to go out to public comment on your license.
Is there anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing no public comment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. With that, does anyone have any other questions at this time? Mr. Brumfield, if there's anything else that you would like to say?
I would just like to thank the commission for taking a look at this, and we'll do a really good job for the city.
Thank you. Okay, with that, is there a motion?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve the ordinance with an amendment that says repeated or intermittent noise or nuisance activity and/or unlawful noise levels originating from the establishment or the parking area may result in the revocation of the alcoholic beverage designation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments from the maker?
I would like to thank the applicant for investing in Indian Rocks Beach. I look forward to a successful business launch, and I'm really happy that our city continues to evolve and grow with this kind of investment.
Thank you.
Echo Ed's words and wish you the best.
Okay, at this time, there are not any more questions. I'm going to look for Deanne to call the roll.
Commissioner McCall,
Yes.
Commissioner Flagg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hannah,
Yes?
Commissioner Hufnagel,
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes, motion carries. Yay, Mr. Brumfield. When will you be opening? Do you know when you'll be opening?
Soon. We'll have beer and alcohol, we'll have beer and wine soon, that's for sure.
One of the things that I do want to say is we have been very blessed with businesses opening during the pandemic. I mean, that is just incredible. And so I went to all of our businesses, so I hope everyone who's listening and everyone who's in the audience to support. I know Rick makes a hell of a fish bread, so, and lots of other things, so I hope everyone will stop by. And you're gonna have to go, and you have an outside area.
Correct.
People can sit, okay. He's done a really good job of that. With that, we're gonna move on to 6B, ordinance number 2021-01. Randy, would you read this?
Happily, Madam Mayor, this is City of Indian Rocks Beach ordinance number 2021-01 on second reading. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, appropriating additional funds for employee wages, including specified charter officers, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Whereas on September 17, 2020, the City Commission approved ordinance number 2020-03, adopting a budget and appropriated funds therefrom for operating expenses for the City of Indian Rocks Beach for fiscal year 2020-2021. Whereas the total approved budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 was $5,812,540, of which $3,711,010 was allocated to the city's general fund and $1,354,530 to the solid waste fund. And whereas the adopted budget did not include any pay increases for city employees, as the City Commission determined to revisit that topic after the first fiscal year quarter so as to determine the budgetary impacts of the current national economy and pandemic. Whereas the City Manager has advised the Commission that state revenues received by the city are performing ahead of projections, which informed the original budget recommendation, and city expenses related to county permitting have dropped substantially. Whereas based on this new financial data, the City Manager has recommended a budget amendment so as to account for these unanticipated funds, and further that these funds be used to allow for a 3% pay increase for all non-contract employees. Whereas during the first reading of this ordinance, the City Commission approved an amendment granting both the City Manager and City Clerk a 3% pay increase, and whereas Section 10.4 of the city's charter concerning budgeting provides that the City Commission will adopt budgets pursuant to Chapter 166 of the Florida Statutes, and whereas Florida Statute 166-241, which governs the adoption and amendment of municipal budgets, permits the Commission to amend the city's budget at any time in the course of a fiscal year in the same manner as it adopted the original budget, and whereas the City Commission finds that there will be sufficient funds for the remainder of the current fiscal year to allow the City Manager's recommendation of a 3% pay increase to be implemented. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Pinellas County, Florida, that Section 1, the City of Indian Rocks Beach fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, as adopted by ordinance number 2020-03, is hereby amended to include an additional $28,360. For those not looking, there's an extra zero somewhere. $28,360 with $20,640 allocated to the general fund and $7,720 allocated to the solid waste fund. Section 2 from the City of Indian Rocks Beach's fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, as adopted by ordinance number 2020-03, and thereafter amended by this ordinance, an additional $28,360 is hereby appropriated to employee wages as reflected in detail on the chart appended as an exhibit hereby incorporated in this ordinance. Section 3, the provisions of this ordinance are severable, and Section 4, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon final adoption by the City Commission. This has been a second and final reading in full, Madam Mayor, of City of Indian Rocks Beach Ordinance Number 2021-01.
That one's very impressive.
If you ever
With
read
that-
for a kid to go to bed.
With that, Greg, would you like to make any comments on this? I know we've talked
Randy,
about it.
can you repeat that again? No, basically, it's we held off on pay raises to wait and see what revenues, we're looking like. Unfortunately, they're coming in ahead of schedule. At 28 billion, I probably will be resigning in the morning. But seriously, it's the simple fact is a 3% raise. We appreciate the commission considering it. The department heads and employees work hard every day to do things efficiently and save money, and that's helped in this state revenues and higher than projected. So thank you.
Do any of the commissioners have any comments for the city manager or the city attorney? Ed?
I do not.
You do not, okay. With that, I'm going to go out to public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment this time on ordinance number 2021-01? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment, and I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance number 2021-01, second and final reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner McCall, second the motion. Are there any comments from the maker or the second?
No.
Hearing none, Deanne, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Hufnagel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hannah,
Yes.
Commissioner McCall,
Yes.
Commissioner Flatt,
Yes.
Mayor Payne.
Yes. Motion carries. With that, we go to agenda item number 7, other legislative matters. We do not have any tonight. We don't have any discussion items. Is there any other business to come before this board tonight? Yes,
This is
sir.
for the record, so everybody would know that y'all had asked recently to schedule a work session about pickleball, and we're going to do that at the April City Commission meeting, so that's what we're going to do.
And just for the record, that we will in April have a meeting concerning the pickleball, so that's April 13th. Very good. Without any,
Yeah. Cookie, I have one other just item to
yes.
just remind. Since we've approved the license for Rick Daddy's, those parking places were allocated to the alcohol license for the off the grid. So any changes to that license, should it come up to the commission again, the parking would have to be reevaluated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things that you'll notice on tonight's alcohol application is that there's not a requirement anymore for layouts of tables and parking spaces. I don't know how that ever got to be part of the application process. That's all reviewed by staff beforehand. So this is an item that you approve tonight, in any alcohol designation going forward, all going to be taken care of administratively. And one last thing about the parking spaces and where they are. There's been a reduction in the number of seats and tables at the old Aqua Prime location, so that's why the two are not connected anymore. But just going forward, you won't see a lot of the extra verbiage and drawings because Hetty would have reviewed tables, places, seats, and all well ahead of time before they apply.
Okay, thank you. If there's not any other business to come before this board, I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.